Hello, everybody. So we have a full moon, a new moon, and a full solar eclipse happening today, Monday, at around 11:16 a.m. at 23 degrees of Sagittarius. So before I head into the tarot and astrology, I'll just tell you that this week leading up to the eclipse has been very intense for almost every sensitive or empathic person I know. Almost everyone that I'm speaking to is feeling nauseous, anxious, headache, exhausted, bloated, off, just feeling off. Now, personally, I tend to feel these types of events a few days in advance or a week in advance. I usually get my intensity before it comes, and then it sort of subsides, and by the time it arrives, I'm a little calmer. Other people, they get it in the moment. Other people feel it after. But just to say that if you suddenly feel really sick, really like anxiety attacks, nauseous, headachy, obviously check and see that that's not like a physical issue that you need to see a doctor. But if you've checked things out and there's no reason for you to have those symptoms medically, and I'm not a doctor, I'm just saying that sometimes we all pick up collective energy, whether it's around the meteor showers, solar flares, planetary events, the general vibe of what's going on with COVID, the fear in the air, the hostility in the air, politically, our own reaction to it, our own issues come up. It's all normal to have, a very visceral reaction to that. And I just bring these things up to show you if I've noticed a pattern amongst people that I consider to be highly intuitive, empathic, or healers, then I bring it up to people. Because sometimes it's yours, and some part of it is always ours to deal with. Sometimes we're picking up things that are collective, and it's bigger than just us. And it helps people immensely when they go, oh, God, it's not just me. So if you've been feeling like that, you are not alone. All right. We're going to head into what the astrology means, the tarot card reading for this eclipse, and then we're going to do readings for every sign as usual. So I hope you have a nice cup of tea or coffee or whatever you want, and enjoy the tarot and astrology analysis. The timing for the readings of your sign, they're going to be listed in the comments at what time does your sign start. And if you would like a personal reading from me, you can go to my website, river-rain.com. It'll also be in the comments, the links. And I will also link you to my page with all of my holiday specials, because I have some special shorter readings and different types of readings than usual for the holidays. For example, the intuitive home reading. So now that we're all on Zoom, just like you can see my living room, you can show me your house if there's an issue in a certain room or part of the house, and I can intuitively see what's going on in the house. I have another one that's for compatibility, and it doesn't have to be just love. If you've met someone new, if you've been married for 20 years, if you want to know how to get along better with your son, if you're having issues in a friendship, astrology is a great way to take a look at what's the deeper issues going on in this relationship dynamic, so that you can learn to work with it, honor your needs, and understand the other person's needs and desires better as well. So I have that, and then I have mini readings, which will be available until the 31st of December, where you can ask me 1 or 2 questions, and you'll get a video reading just like you're seeing me doing now. I'll hold up the cards like I do in these videos, but it'll be for you personally as a private video sent to you. So you can look at my links in the bottom, and it'll have a link to the gifts page and to the regular readings page. All right, so let's get started. Okie doke. So first I'm just going to, as usual, burn some sage. If you have some, it's a good idea. You can burn it with me. Right, and always cleanse the cards. And sometimes I'm using gemstones. This is desert rose. And then I have my major quartz crystal that I love to have with me beside me. So I can smudge those objects too. I feel like I need it on my heart right now. I feel like there's a lot going on in people's hearts chakras today. All right, so let's take a look now at the chart. So as I've probably mentioned before in other videos, but I'll say again, eclipses are a big deal because there's sort of a time when something appears, disappears, and reappears, right? The sun gets eclipsed completely, we lose it, and then, oh, there it is again. So that literally plays out as it can be people that sort of disappear and come back. It could be, you know, desires, projects, emotions, things that are hidden from view, and then poof, poof, there they are again, back. Sometimes it can be surprises that happen, reversals in a situation suddenly, flip-flop. You know, maybe you're on the fence for 2 years and all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, I'm clear on that. Or other people do. And then they announce it to you and you're like, oh, that's a surprise. You know, so often eclipses can bring turning points or surprises. The other thing is that it's a new moon on top of a solar eclipse. So it's really interesting because the moon is dark. You can't see it. And yet it's eclipsing the sun. So this one could be a little more intense of an eclipse for some of you because of that. When we have a new moon, it means that the sun and the moon are always in the same sign. So we've got a cluster of things going on in Sagittarius right now. We have the sun at 23 degrees, the moon at 23 degrees, Mercury at 20 degrees, and the south node at 19 degrees. So you're activating the nodes. And I've said in other videos too, the nodes are your karmic direction. When it's a chart that's cast for everyone, it means sort of the direction society is going in. You know, globally, what direction are we going in? Globally, what's our past life direction or baggage? So you have the south node, the past life, the thing we're supposed to let go of, emphasized by sun, moon, and Mercury. It means people don't want to let go. It means it's even harder right now to go towards the future direction because there's a strong pull towards staying where we are and to what's familiar and what we're used to doing. So it means that all of those planets clustered together are opposing the north node, which is that karma that we need to go towards now. So Gemini is the north node. So I'm just going to dig up a list, actually. I know it, but I want to make sure that I say all of it because sometimes there's other aspects. I don't want to miss them for you. So what does it mean to have the north node in Gemini? The Gemini north node, or the mission. Okay, so this is what we need to be doing right now for things to align. Think about it globally as well as personally. We need to search for the details that others miss or ignore. We need to learn to listen to people around us, even if you feel you know the best. Now, how apropos is that right now? Right? We're at a time when we're at sort of this height of people being polarized and aggravated in their opinions and just very quick, like they're right. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. You know, and that's the sort of shadow of Sagittarius. There's lots of good with Sagittarius, but the shadow is when people get righteous and then they get very stubborn in their righteousness. Gemini means diverse, multiple. So, and it means, that there's nuance and multiple details and many different ways of living and many different types of people and many different ways you could look at it. And that's what we need to be doing. Staying connected to the present. Exploring your potential with your writing. Focusing on developing communication skills. We sure see that now, don't we? That need. Focusing on intellectual or relational pursuits. Finding a way to be understood through your patience and willingness to understand others. Whew, boy, do we need this. Surrounding yourself with people who support you when you're being inquisitive, curious, versatile, and allow them to absorb your abundance. Most importantly, becoming the master communicator that you're meant to be. So right now, if you want to be doing your little part to make your own life better or making the world better, it would be to encourage people to express themselves. It would be to do more of your own research on whatever it is. It would be think a little more critically before you post or speak or just react. Master communicator. That's sort of the goal of this North Node. And as I said, all of these other planets are opposing it and pulling us back. So it would be really like a message of stay out of the arguments, stay out of black and white polarizing energy, because that just keeps us stuck. Now, the other thing that is interesting going on is that Neptune in Pisces, and I mentioned this in the last moon cycle, it's going to be going on a while. Neptune moves slowly, the nodes move slowly. So just sort of listen to this energy. This is a general thing going on in the world for a little while. It's already been, and it's going to continue a while, that we're in this weird energy, right? Now, the pandemic makes it a weird energy right there. But the planets are mirroring that. So what we have is Neptune in Pisces, which wants to be, sort of creative and maybe lost in their alternative worlds where it's a better place to be. Highly sensitive and intuitive, so it could be all kinds of people awakening their spiritual side, awakening their intuition, having crazy dreams, crazy flashes of insight about what's going to come to them or people you love. And some of it you have to be careful. Is it just my fear, my fantasy, my ideal, or am I really getting some sort of intuitive message that could happen? Oh, we're getting another Quebec emergency alert. Oh, it's a missing child. Oh, that's awful. Okay. Oh, I hate seeing that. Okay. Well, we're getting Neptune with that side that wants to be very watery, very dreamy, very idealistic and spiritual, mixed in with this other energy I'm talking about, with this fighting over stuff, being righteous about stuff, or with this pull towards the North Node of communicating and being diverse. So when you have, like I mentioned in the last video about the full moon, when you have planets that are in mutable or adaptable signs squaring off with each other, you get this sort of, oh, well, if you're gonna, then I'll just, okay, I'll reposition. Oh, and now that's tension there, so I'm gonna move a little. Oh, now it's tension. You get this very pendulum swingy, unstable, very changeable, very, very weird kind of, you can't predict what's gonna happen or where things are gonna go. It's very day by day, and people can be very changeable. Situations can change on a dime. People can reposition themselves overnight. It's not an easy energy to live, for people to know what the hell to do or how to plan for future if they can. It's not a great time for making decisions and plans at all. You know, you can have goals, and you can have goals is probably the best way to put it. Desires and goals of something that you want to happen, that you can take steps towards, but it's not like we're in a stage where you can start to actively plan it, because there's too much up in the air. So when things are up in the air that much and unstable, and people are shifting and dancing and changing around so much, the only thing I caution is it's not worth it to get into big arguments most of the time. And it's also, it's not worth it to be overly anxious about making plans that are concrete. It's more about, how do I make my life a little more flexible, and how do I trust my gut sort of day to day, and sort of take your time and see how things evolve over time, is more the attitude. Because when things shape shift that much, it's easy to be lost in an illusion, lost in a, you can read something or watch something and go, oh my Lord, and it swings you one way, and then you can the next day say, oh no, I don't know, I don't agree with that. And you snap back into another reality, and everybody's doing that. Everybody's pretty confused, on some level, because we don't know what's coming next, and we don't know how long we're in this pandemic or this global change. So just try to take life a little more day by day, and relax the pressure you put on yourself for any kind of knowing what's coming or future plans. Now, the next thing that we have is Mars still traveling through Aries. Remember I said, Mars and Aries can be very active, can be very blunt, can be brutally honest, can also be aggressive, volatile. We want to be mindful of that, because that Mars now has moved further along, and it's squaring Pluto, Jupiter, and Saturn in Capricorn. So this is, in my opinion, why we're seeing hostile protest movements. And there's a lot of anger, edginess in the air, depending where you are, depending the scenarios you have to deal with. But we're seeing a lot of that. And if you have the maybe the luxury to avoid it, then do so. We need to stay home for public health and safety, but we also can stay home and lay low from contributing to this hard, angry energy that's out there, so that you're doing your part not to make it worse. We can't prevent some people doing it, because people need to resolve these conflicts, and they don't always know how. But if you don't need to be stuck in the middle of a Costco when somebody's refusing to wear a mask, try to avoid the situation for now, because Mars is going to move out of Aries, and the square that it's making now, that makes all of this heightened, is also going to ease off pretty soon. So this is a temporary message, not a stick your head in the sand forever message. It's just, over the holidays, until Mars leaves and goes more into Taurus. The square will be still there with Jupiter and Saturn, but it won't be there with Pluto, so it'll be a little less volatile. Venus is now at the end of Scorpio, and it's making a good aspect to Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn. It's a sextile, but it's a workable energy, so it's earth and water. Some of you might find that it helps to just do things that help you stay grounded or connected to nature. It's also making a nice aspect to Chiron, which is ironic because Chiron's not an easy planet. It's or asteroid. It's about healing whatever your wounds are. But Venus in Scorpio with Chiron trine could mean it's a very intense time of healing for some of you if you're willing to do the work. That's a very deep angle to, Venus in Scorpio is diving to the bottom to see the truth, to see what's there. There's a desire to know the truth and to get beyond the taboo, beyond the secrets, beyond, whatever's been going on. And Chiron is there's a wound of the self with Aries. So meaning people that have a hard time with their self-esteem or putting themselves first, or some might be wounded and they become more narcissistic, even if they're not true narcissists. Other people find that it's hard to put themselves first, put self-care in place, say no when they mean no. And Venus in Scorpio with Chiron there, it's like it's a good time to be doing that therapeutic work. If you can see somebody online, or depending where you are, we still have healthcare practitioners that are allowed to practice, so you can see an osteopath or a chiropractor or a acupuncture or whoever you have access to. That's a good way to use the energy. And then you're bypassing being out there in the middle of a fight, and you're delving into your own stuff. It's a far more productive way to help the energy in general. Now, this Mars in Aries I mentioned, this volatile Mars in Aries, it's also making a trine to Mercury and that south node and that sun and moon. So even though it's a healthy angle, it sort of supports this whole thing of like adding aggression to the Sagittarian planets and to that past direction. So the more hardened you get in your opinion, the more angry you get in your opinion, there's people lashing out and leashing out, and we just yesterday had that march in Washington where people got stabbed at a rally, trying to reinstate Trump. So it's in the air. And I know most people listening to tarot and astrology reports are probably more pacifist. So really try to focus on getting yourself going inward and staying grounded. Now, the other thing that makes the energy more volatile right now is that Uranus, which is in Taurus, is making a square to Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. Again, Uranus is like an earthquake, like a sudden lightning bolt, like a, it's more than just that sort of dancing around energy I mentioned. It's more like, incoming kind of feeling with Uranus. And Pluto's like a deep bomb that goes off, to destroy what the old and liberate us towards the new. But first it destroys the old. So Uranus and Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn is volatile as well at a deeper level than the Mars, and Mercury and everything. That's more like people personally getting mad, and screaming at somebody at a Starbucks because they won't wear a mask. This is deeper. Uranus and Pluto with Jupiter, Saturn is more like something societally is changing, the structures of our world are like changing, and we don't know where it's going quite yet. Once we get to the solstice, when we have the transition of Jupiter, Saturn into Aquarius, and we begin another part of the age of Aquarius starting, I think you're going to see that things lighten up. and people have a little more feeling of optimism or a vision of how the world could be different. And I think we're going to see more of that to come, especially over the winter. So what we have then is a lot of people just hanging on. It's like those old cartoons where you see the coyote just like hanging on by the fingertips to a cliff, you know, for dear life, because they don't want to free fall into something that is unknown. But just like the coyote, we will survive. He always does. And if we let go and we say, okay, it's not the world that I knew. It's not, things are not going to be like, they're not going to turn back to what they were. There'll be something new now. New doesn't mean bad. It's just unknown. And I think what we're seeing right now is it's just human nature to do this. But we're seeing a lot of people just clinging and scared. And some people, when they're scared, they get angry and pull out a knife at a rally. But it's coming from fear, a fear of the unknown, a fear that they're losing something. And so if you can spend some of that really nice energy where Venus and Scorpio is positively aspecting Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn, and that trend, that big change. And Neptune is also supporting it too. You can be a part of healing yourself and trying to bring a bit of vision to that new world, that next. And always with this idea, this goal in mind of the Gemini North Node of mastering communication, allowing people to be different and diverse. All right, we're going to take a look now at the card reading for this particular eclipse. All right, our first card is the Seven of Pentacles. Card says failure, and it doesn't mean that you're going to fail, but there's maybe feelings of failure. Saturn and Taurus. What's worth what? Am I worth it? Is it worth it to spend my money on this? Or is it worth it for me to make less, but enjoy my life more? What am I worth in my career? What's my salary worth? What's my house worth? Saturn and Taurus is questioning their values and their own value as a person, and questioning what they value. And in the pursuit of that, they might be very hard on themselves, and they might be feeling on some way like I failed, I didn't get to where I wanted to be, or I'm not who I thought I was, or I should, whatever, fill in the blanks. So if you're going through that in some way, try to have some compassion for yourself, that everybody right now, everyone on the planet thought that they were going to be living something different this year. Everybody on the planet, the pause button went on or the switch went off, like, nope. So nobody has failed. Nobody has failed. All right, our next card. Oh, 7 again. Interesting. 7 of Swords. Futility. Moon in Aquarius. Very detached. Intellectualizing. You see how calm, cool, and collected the card is. Moving away, moving on. Sometimes for me, this card means you're actually moving. You're thinking of relocating. You're thinking of walking away from a job, a person. Other times this card is represented like a thief who's sort of getting away with something. I don't really relate to that for the 7 of Swords to me. The other decks, the 7 of Swords shows somebody walking away, like there's swords on a beach and she's walking past them and into the water. Futility to me sums it up. It's like, again, and it stems from this worth. What's worth what? So if you find yourself in any way asking yourself, is this relationship worth it? Is this job worth it? Is all the stress I put into X, Y, or Z, is it worth it? That's what we're questioning. And the Seven of Swords is like, well, you're going to walk away and let go of some of it. You're going to say, no, it isn't. And you're going to stop doing something that you're doing that might be causing you pain. Could be anything. Could be a habit. Our next card, Wheel of Fortune. Okay, so we never know what the Wheel of Fortune means till we lay the other cards down around it, but it means things are changing. And with this walking away, with this letting go, with this saying, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm not going there anymore, Wheel of Fortune's probably a good thing. You're going to change your fate by your decisions, which we always do. I mean, we make a decision, we change our fate. However, sometimes those changes or decisions create more momentum than other ones, right? I'm going to stop eating chips. Okay, well, it's going to make a difference. It's very different than I'm going to put a boundary with my toxic family member. That's much more life-altering. All right, our next card is the Five of Cups. So there's some emotional disappointment in the air, maybe some relationship issues that are bothering us. There's Mars and Scorpio. Not the best combo, Mars and Scorpio. You sort of get somebody, the quality of that position is somebody who's very probing and almost detective-like. And but it's an aggressive energy in an emotional sign. So you could get emotional aggression in a way with this card, like somebody giving you the silent treatment to manipulate you. Somebody bringing up your past in your face to get back at you. Like Mars and Scorpio can be jealous and possessive. And Kitty wants to come say hi, Willow. Want to say hello to us? Want to say hello to the reader for the reading? Hello, buddy. Hello, buddy. Yeah. All right. He likes to come and see if I have water that's fresher than his. All right. Our next card is Four of Wands. Yeah. Okay, dude. All right. All right. Come on. There you go. The Four of Wands. So this is better. This is completion. This is Venus in Aries. Venus in Aries is upbeat and it knows how to start the party. It knows how to have fun, cheerlead, motivate the troops. It knows how to get itself up and moving again. A little more lighter, more spontaneous. And also Venus in Aries means I'm putting myself first. And that's okay. So there's a lot of that theme right now. And then we have the Universe card as our next card. And that means the closure of a chapter of your life. So whatever you're about to decide, let go of, walk away from, you're going to be putting yourself first in a very good way, and it's going to bring a chapter of your life to a close. So some stuff that you've maybe been doing forever, if it hasn't been serving you, if it doesn't resonate, doesn't fit your life anymore, if it's not aligned, if it's been going against yourself. I know like these are sometimes heavy emotions to work through, but if you can do it and ask for some help to do it so that you make really good decisions, you're going to be able to walk away from and say, no, I'm not doing that. I want a new life now. I find that super positive, but not easy to get to. So our next card is Princess of Swords. So this could be you or someone around you, but somebody's struggling. Somebody who's combative and tends to make her own life harder. She tends to be sort of the kind who's more militant in her opinions, even if she doesn't have the full picture. A bit too spontaneous, like just dashing in to do something without thinking, fully convinced she's right, but it's actually really, she's missed a whole level of information that she needs. So she tends to constantly be in some sort of trouble or drama. So if that's you, this can happen if you're making really big decisions in your life and you feel vulnerable and alone after you've turned a page or you're in a new chapter of your life. We can all get like this a little bit. If not, could be somebody around you. And if they are, then you have to take a decision how you're going to interact with that energy, because she's always a bit intense to deal with. The next card is the Hermit. So there's definitely some time needed alone. We're already spending time in quarantine. So, you know, we're all going to be doing that. But try to make some more peace with being with this time alone. You know, the Hermit is content to spend time alone. It's not like people have abandoned me, I'm all alone. It's like, no, I need my time. I need some space. I want some time to read. I want some time to have naps. I want some time to go for walks. I want to rekindle my hobbies. I want to just have time to process things without telling everybody. So that's quite a dramatic shift from the Princess of Swords. I mean, there you might be, if you notice that you're the one who's struggling that way, the antidote might be to just embrace that solitude, that hermit side of you. And if it's someone around you, then you're probably going to be pulling back and not dealing with that person. Yeah, Kitty wants to come back again, of course. Okay, and our last card, wow, that doubly emphasizes things. Our last card's the Hierophant. So similar type of thing to the Hermit. It's again someone who withdraws a bit from social activity or from normal society activities, but the Hierophant is more actively focused on studying, reading, researching, meditating, teaching, because the Hierophant is the messenger between the divine and the people. It used to be the Pope or the priest. You can sort of see, you know, that this is a very wise and enlightened being in the middle of it, who's got the little child in the heart, and at the bottom you see the goddess. So I love this Hierophant because he has integrated his inner child and his feminine wisdom, and he has his demons around him that he's warding off or that he's aware of, but he's also got that halo around his head where he's protected. So the Hermit is like a complete, I don't want to see anybody, leave me alone. I'm good. Just leave me alone. I don't need to talk. I'm just sitting with myself, going deep within myself. The Hierophant is a little more interactive. Like I said, might read, might teach, might talk, might more actively seek courses or meditate, might sort of partake or impart with their wisdom to other people. So you might see yourself go into your shell pretty much and then start to come out of your shell in a new way, where there's more emotional or maybe even spiritual boundaries of how you're going to interact or relate to people. And that might be part of this new chapter. It might be part of the way that you protect yourself from whatever you were doing that you had to walk away from. And the eclipse, I imagine, is probably putting pressure on everybody to sort of turn the page. Kitty wants to come up one more time and say hello. Okay, Kitty. This is Willow. Yeah. Willow is a Capricorn. Willow's going to be 15 in early January. Yeah. Hey, buddy, I'm going to do readings for everybody now, okay? All right. I'll see you later. All right, so let's do our readings for every sign. All right. Whoop, cards flying out of the deck. All right, and as I said, I'm going to write down the timing of when each reading begins for each sign, so you can check the comments below for when the timing of your sign comes up. But I also highly recommend you figure out what your moon sign and your rising sign are and listen to all three, because when you listen to all three, you're going to get a really good picture, the big picture of what's going on in your life. So Aries, here is your card. Oh yeah, I shouldn't write the time down yet. Let's see. What's our theme going to be? Okay, I'm going to make the reading this time about what chapter is ending for you based on your sign. What is that universe card? What does that chapter's end look like for your sign? Okay, so Aries. Huh. Okay, we just talked about this. So Aries, your chapter that's ending is the Seven of Discs. It's whatever cycle you're going through where there's hardship, there's low self-esteem, you're not valuing yourself enough with other people or in relation to money, your job, your title, what you're worth. Any time you struggle with being hard on yourself, with being depressed, then that's when you really need to close the cycle. That's a hard cycle because this is always really deep, this card. You have to figure out, you have to sort of know, where does that come from? Like, let's say it's job and money related, and you feel like you're always working for less than you deserve. And you get one more job and you're all hopeful, and then you still aren't moving up the ladder, or you still get offered the same salary or lower than before, and you feel like, what's wrong with me? Why don't people value me? Why do I never get offered the right job? Why, that's sort of the way this card can play out, the spiral. So the thing to do would be to ask yourself, at what point did I decide that my work isn't worth what other people's is? Second thing would be, have I researched what the going rate is for the job that I can do? And be honest about, based on what I'm qualified for, what I deeply know to be true of what I'm capable of. Am I getting paid what other people are getting paid? And if you're not, and there's this giant gap, you have to start asking for it. It's going to be a journey of valuing yourself to say, I deserve to be paid the going rate, or maybe above. Maybe you're really undervaluing, but I deserve this as my salary, let's say, and I will get it. And that would be one way to close that chapter where you've been undervaluing your work, because it's a vicious cycle. Because if you do, then other people do. You'll undervalue it, they'll undervalue you. And then you feel like you're always down, down, down. All right, so that's a big one to work on. Okay, Taurus, what chapter is closing in your life? Yeah. Okay. The High Priestess, very interesting message. Well, this is a card of the divine feminine energy. She knows all the secrets in the universe. She doesn't need to consult anything besides her own inner guidance. So I would say, if there's any area of your life where you're not doing this, that's the chapter that maybe needs to close. Maybe you're always worrying. Maybe you're always fact checking. Maybe no matter what somebody tells you, you're like, I don't think so. Maybe you're not tuning in to your own higher guidance enough. Or maybe you're getting strong messages, guidance, dreams, gut feelings. Maybe you get them, but you're not acting on them. And it means it's a time for you to come into this, to trust that creative flow, that intuitive flow that comes through all of us. Embrace it and start to act on it, and let that be what helps you make your next decisions. Be a little less practical and worried, and a little more, okay, practically that makes sense, but my gut is telling me this, so I'm going to go with my gut. Very interesting. So, Gemini, what chapter's closing for you? All right, and that would be the art card, Temperance card. So, Temperance is all about timing, the balance of timing. It's alchemy. It's like I've said in other videos with this card, it's like when you're making a recipe and you don't just dump everything in the bowl and mix it up. Things go in one at a time. They have the right temperature. They have different qualities of ingredients, and they all go together to make the perfect mix, the perfect cake, or the perfect brew. And so when this is applied to life, it's to be patient about your timing, your desires versus other people's desires versus other things that are bigger than you. And the timing will be perfect when it's meant to be perfect. It's about not forcing things, not trying to control or micromanage things. It's all about being a part of the divine timing. So as Geminis, sometimes you really get this quality, no problem. But this is a Sagittarian card. The main thing would be for you to adopt a philosophy of life that's a little more, I want to say balance, but that's too general a word. You need to have a mindset or a philosophy of life that allows things to be on their own timing. You know, when the time is right, it'll happen. I'll keep working on my side, and I'll keep being clear about what I want, but I can't control when it happens or with who. So I'm going to let go, and I'm going to be okay with that. That would be the thing to do for you, is adopt a more gentle, changeable, flexible life philosophy. These are intense readings again, man. All right, Cancer. What chapter is ending in your life? Five of Swords. Oh, yikes. Okay. So Five of Swords is it Venus? Yes. Venus in Aquarius. So this gives me the feeling that you're probably involved in situations with people that feel like there's a lot of conflict or nastiness that doesn't need to, you don't need to keep living that over and over again. If you can see on the card, the swords are sort of bent downwards, and there's an inverted pentagram, and that, you know, that's usually a pagan symbol or a Satanist symbol. The downward pentagram is, to me, a sign of more like people's lower nature, their worst, you know, bringing out the worst in everybody. So, and the Five of Swords is almost always a conflict, arguing, you know, petty, getting into stupid arguments over things, relationships ending over intellectual differences or petty differences. And because it's got this, it's got sort of a nasty feeling to the card, doesn't it? It doesn't look healthy. It doesn't look, so I would say Cancer, because you're also still going through Pluto in Capricorn for many, many years now. Pluto has been going through the 7th house of all Cancers, change and upheaval in our relationship lives. And it's still not quite done. We have 4 more years of this. So I would say at this time, the chapter that needs to end is release any useless conflict. Release any need to argue. If it's on your end and you're angry, frustrated, you need to work on how you say it. You need to say it instead of holding it in and being grumpy, or holding it in and being passive aggressive, or giving people silent treatment and being hot and cold. And you need to not take any of that crap from anybody else either. So anytime you start to feel that you're being drawn into something anxious and conflictual, or, Venus in Aquarius would be somebody like very just stuck in their head. They don't want to really go into the heart or feel things. They want to just debate intellectually all the time. So it could be a situation where you say, I'm really feeling sad today, and they go, why? You have nothing to be sad about. You've got, and they try to argue you intellectually when you're trying to express how you feel. That's the kind of energy, like, don't even bother. It's pointless. Don't even bother going there with people anymore. Because it's sort of like you're harming yourself over and over if you're stuck with that kind of, this level of conflict. It's usually not resolvable. There usually needs to be a break. So some Cancers, you might be going through, splitting off or breaking away from people yet again. But close that chapter where you're not communicating what you actually honestly feel. Stop holding in frustration and anger for nothing, and walk away from the situations if people are drawing you into it when you don't need to. Easier said than done, but that's your advice. Okay, Leo, what chapter is ending in your life? All right, and we have another conflict card. Oh boy, gosh. Okay, so this is the 2 of Wands. It's Mars and Aries, like we have in the sky right now. So what did we say? Beginning of the video, Mars and Aries can be really, really warrior-like in its good side. They'll go out and fight the battle. But more often they're the guy that drives his car off a cliff because it would be fun and doesn't think about life or death, just does it. Or this is somebody who is militant, violent sometimes. You see it in this card. These 2 wands are crossing each other and they look like they're about to burst. It's very explosive energy. So for you, Leo, the card says dominion. This is going to be a hard message to hear, but this is what we're asking you to put a close to. This would mean any time you're in a situation where it feels like there's a battle of wills going on, you need to release that. So this means changing your need to defend yourself all the time, or asking and being sure that you're not dominating others, bullying others. Or if you're the one being bullied or dominated, you got to get out of that trap. So basically, any area of your life where there's always a battle or a power issue going on, or, you could be on either side of it, but like, stop letting yourself be bullied. Stop letting people walk all over or dominate you. And stop being in situations if you feel like you have to constantly defend yourself to them. On the flip side, if you're the one who's being bossy or dominating or domineering others, chances are you're going to see people walking away, pulling away from you. And you have to be honest with yourself if you've been trying to do that. Because, like I said, there's a warrior side to this, and your warrior side kicks in. And you feel like it's your duty or your job, maybe, to step up and fight. But you're actually going to be pushing people away, and you're actually going to making things harder for yourself. So the goal here would be try to shift your mind towards what's peaceful. You don't need to fight every fight. Chunky messages today, man. Well, it's an eclipse after all. All right. Virgo, what chapter is ending in your life? Five of Discs. This card says worry. Mercury in Taurus. So this is a very classic message to give a Virgo, really. Your task is to try to overcome anxiety and the tendency to overthink things and worry, which is really hard for Virgo, because that's what you feel you're here to do, is think about everything, categorize things, be precise, know exactly what's going on and why and what it's called. If you put that towards productive stuff, then that's a great quality. But if you put that energy of wondering why and needing to know why and thinking and analyzing and worrying and try to, psychoanalyze people too much, or if you put yourself into a state of anxiety like this and worry, you're just going to bring your whole immune system weaker, and you're going to make, this also can be a card of difficulty with finances as well. And it's a card when it's sort of difficult to find friends or money or anything, because you're so stuck in this dark feeling of anxiety and worry that nothing positive can even get in. Your whole energy field is just worrying and panicking and pushing it all away. So the antidote to that is to really actively do something about your anxiety and worry. If you need to do more, it's all the classic cliche advice, but it does really work. You need to breathe. You need to do breath work. You need to do some exercise. You need to get outside, do some meditation, read a book, do something that gets your mind off of your anxiety, and try to surrender that you don't know the answer all the time. You don't know it today. You'll know when it's time to do something. You will know when you have the right assessment of something, instead of this pulsating, digging, making yourself almost sick with worry. That's a huge thing for Virgo to work on. So I feel for you, and, I can help you maybe with that, but that's the thing that will help your life go the best. Okay, Libra. What chapter is ending for you? Yikes. Okay. 10 of Wands, oppression. Saturn in Sagittarius. Well, you can feel how oppressive this is. Feels like a jail cell, right? So Libra, you have to stop letting yourself be in situations where you feel put upon, taken advantage of, where you don't feel free, where you're letting people tell you what to do. This is a feeling of being burdened and imprisoned, and you're not supposed to live like that. Libra wants things to be fair and harmonious and social and, artistic and beautiful, and they want to sort of float through life pleasantly with people getting along. As soon as you start worrying about trying to fix everything and wanting people to get along that way so you can be happy, you start to imprison yourself, and that's how you start to get in the middle of everybody else's conflicts and business, and you drag your own energy down. So first step would be ask yourself, Where do I feel oppressed or not free? Where am I? From what do I need to break free? Because it's overdue. This card means it's any longer and it's going to crush you. You know, there's only, it's like you're holding up, you know, a boulder or something, and you think that if you keep doing it, it'll all get better, but you're actually, at one point, your hands are going to give out. So it's time to be honest with yourself about where do you feel oppressed, and certainly don't letting people tell you what to do if that's the situation that you're in. You have to free yourself. Get yourself out of jail free. Yeah. All right. So, Scorpio, what chapter is ending for your life? So the Knight or the King of Discs, Pentacles. Well, this is a solid person. This is a reliable person. This is someone who has their finances together. They've got their material life figured out and solid. They might be a little bit on the boring side because they focused a lot on the material side of life. But the connection to nature is so strong there as well. And you see the armor. There's a lot of protection. So if this is a chapter ending and this is you, I would ask myself maybe about all that armor. There's a lot of armor and shielding, and this is the only king or knight in the deck that isn't completely covered with his face mask. This one is showing his face. So there's like this, oh, I'm going to take my armor off and I'm just going to let the sun shine on me a little bit. I'm not going to feel this need for so much armor and protection. That would be one angle I would take a look at is, do I need to let go of, am I armored? Am I too protected? Am I too much inside myself and never trust anybody, or just let myself smell the flowers? The other aspect would be, this could be an actual person in your life, and there's a chapter ending with a person who's like this. It certainly wouldn't be like to end a chapter of reliable people in your life. Maybe the chapter is that you don't have reliable people in your life and you need to find some. Maybe you're the one who hasn't been as materially secure or reliable to others or to yourself. You got to figure that out. This guy is coming from a solid position. He knows what he has to offer. He's patient. He goes slowly, but he's also taking his armor off now to enjoy himself. So if that resonates with you in some way, that would be your chapter's end. Excuse me, I need some water. So, Sagittarius. Happy birthday, by the way, Sag. Sag, what is the chapter ending in your life? Prince of Cups. So we have the young or the immature version, of a really nice guy or girl. He is, as you see, riding his eagle-like chariot in the water. He is holding a cup that has a snake in it, and he's just looking down at the snake in his cup like, oh man, oh my God, oh my God. In the meantime, he's holding his lotus off to the side as if it's going to drop. And he's kicking up waves behind him, bigger than the calm water in front of him. So this guy is making a bit of a mess. He's creating more emotional waves or drama wherever he goes because he's so basically scared of change or transformation. So this is a guy who's basically got a good heart, but he's scared to commit. and he's scared of, you know, really embracing his spirituality when he's just dangling this giant lotus, you know, which could have meant that he has a strong connection to his spiritual life or his inner peace. But he's just like letting it dangle off to the side. He doesn't even realize he has it, or that he's not using it. So I would say, if this is your message for ending a chapter, you can ask yourself, am I this guy? Am I nervous to make commitments emotionally? Am I not embracing my spiritual life and using the tools that I have, and, you know, living from a place more of my personal philosophy and my inner peace? And the second thing would be, is there a transformation or a change going on that's freaking you out right now? Are you spending so much time thinking about that you're forgetting other parts of you? And if it's not you, then it's someone around you, or maybe a pattern of people like this. So if you're always running into people who are emotionally not available, or they always have so much going on, or they're always scared, maybe you're part of the waves that they're kicking up behind. Maybe you're trying to help this person, save this person, date this person. Maybe it's, you know, a son or a daughter. It would sort of be helpful for you to look at that pattern if you're always meeting this type of person. If you're looking to have more stability in your own relationships, or if you're looking to have more inner peace. Because this guy, you can't really do much to save him right now. He's too busy looking down at that snake. He's got to either the snake's going to jump out and bite him and change him, or he's going to have to lay that cup down and focus back on what's ahead of him. But you can't really do that for him. So the main advice here would be, I would say, think about whether the people in your life are bringing you more peace, whether you are focused on what brings you peace more actively. Sort of a nicer message there. All right, let's look at Capricorn now. Capricorn, what chapter is ending for you? All right, and we get an Earth card. We get another, all these court cards all of a sudden. Interesting. So this is the younger version of this guy that we had for Scorpio. This guy is also not quite paying attention to his chariot. The bull is basically driving the show. He's sort of sitting, you know, right? He's not fully paying attention to the road. He's turned sideways. He's got this huge sphere in his hand, which shows sort of, you know, could be his wealth or his potential power. And he has all of these sort of orbs behind him, which are basically like seeds. So he has enormous fertility and possibility. But this guy usually has either a self-indulgent side, where he just wants things to be easy, wants it to fall in his lap, wants things to be pleasurable all the time. Sometimes he has trouble following through. He doesn't quite have the material security or the responsibility, reliability factor that the king has. He still has to learn it. So Capricorn, usually you would not enjoy that guy, because he's letting you down if he's not fully committed the way you are, if he's not reliable the way you are. So you have to ask yourself and be honest, could this be me? You know, do I need to step up somewhere? Do I need to turn around and drive my drive my vehicle myself, clearer? Or are you surrounded by people like this? Are you feeling, a bit let down, or like you can't rely on the people around you? And that would be the chapter to work on ending. If it's someone chronically letting you down, or you're always doing it for them, well, stop. Stop enabling somebody. You might need to let them go altogether, but you certainly stop enabling them. And if it's just mild and it's off and on, or like this guy needs a bit of a wake-up call to turn around and step up and be reliable. That'll help you and him. And this could be a her, by the way. It doesn't have to be a guy. It's those qualities of being reliable and responsible versus self-indulgent and sort of, oh, well, whatever, let people do it for me. So that's a very interesting message too. So the chapter that's ending, I would say, is how much you enable others, how much you can count on others. And there needs to be more of a balance so that you have more ease and trust in your life with the people around you, and you're not carrying so much for other people. Okay, Aquarius. What are you letting go of? Interesting. Huh. Ace of Wands. Pure fire there. Like a burst of fire. To me, seems pretty clear what you're looking to release is anger. Yeah, impatience, anger, anything where there's a burst of fire. So if you want your life to start going better, this is a card of, like strong will. And sometimes that strong will, if it's applied in the right place, is almost heroic. It's wonderful. But the strong will, if it's misapplied, can really be detrimental to relationships. For example, you're just chit-chatting with somebody about something simple, and you turn it into an argument. You turn everything into a debate. Everything's always a debate. That's too much fire. It doesn't allow any enjoyment or ease or back and forth, exploring, being open to what everybody thinks. It's just from 0 to 1,000 that you're right, or that you're offended, or taking something on, or like being combative. I would just take a look at that, because sometimes Aquarius does get this way when they're frustrated, or when they feel people are not understanding them or don't care how they feel. They'll just start to make a well, not really a fight, but they just enjoy arguing about stuff, I've noticed. So just check your fiery side. Just keep it in check. And, so you might be assessing who's good in your life and who's not. Because if you're constantly feeling like you have to debate somebody, you've got to step back at some point and say, am I really compatible with this person? Because, in general, our relationships should be enjoyable and fun, not a constant battle of wits, or correcting or disagreeing on stuff just for the fun. And if you enjoy it, well, maybe you need more people around like that. But I have a feeling that there's people in your entourage that you do care about who find that they don't enjoy that, and they're backing away. So I would just take a look at that side of you. That could be what chapter needs to end. All right, and last but not least, Pisces. What do you need to let go of? What chapter is ending? Huh, the Magician. So the Magician is somebody, you know, who has all of the tools at his disposal. He's good at everything. He knows how to do the design, the budget, the marketing. He knows how to build things. He knows, you know, he can do the research. He's got a lot going on. He has a lot of skills. And a lot of Pisces, you have a lot of skill set as well, diverse skills. And you could be doing things a lot on your own with this card. This is like my entrepreneur kind of card, or somebody who's in charge of things and has to multitask. So I suppose like it's a good card. So if that were me and I was like, what chapter needs to close? I'd probably look at this and say, okay, am I living to my full creative and manifesting potential? You know, because I'm capable of doing that. Am I doing it? Am I shying away from my true potential? Could be one angle. The other angle I would ask myself would be, do I have too much on my plate at once? Because sometimes the Magician is so busy doing everything, and maybe it's time to let go of one, or delegate, or find some sort of help or system or program or app or something to help you. It all depends. You got to just take a look at this card and go, where am I at with my creativity, my self-expression? Am I feeling overwhelmed by all I have on my plate? Or am I feeling a bit dull and I don't quite have enough stimulation? And then you'll know sort of what side of this card you're on. Because when this is in balance, as you can see, everything's floating nicely around him. There's a lot going on, but it's not too much. And he seems to have this nice trust that it's all flowing when it needs to, as it needs to. And this is the energy you want to be working for. So the chapter that's ending is either maybe overextending or shutting yourself down and trying to find a more true flow of the level of activity you have in your life. All right. Whew. I can feel this eclipse energy so strong as we're doing this reading. My heart, my chest, and I'm really feeling it in the heart chakra. Oh. Well, and all the readings dealt with a lot of letting go and step away from the conflicts unless you really, really, really need to. Sometimes we're called to step up, and it's our moment, and we do feel it's time to be part of the fight. Other times, if you really don't, I'm really just encourage, we need more people who are willing to sit back, go within and look at yourself, calm your mind and your anxiety. You will help yourself and you'll help all the people around you to also calm and to go within. And, you know, we don't get out of this polarized conflict. That's just like fighting to the death. You don't dissolve that by fighting harder and fighting harder. You dissolve that by stepping back and going, oh, there might be a different way to see this. Right. Okay. I can sort of see that side. I have that too. Okay. We have a little more in common than I thought. All right. We can live with this together. And that comes from detaching, pulling back, going into more level of detail, allowing more people to be just who they are and different than you. So all of that means, you know, pull back and get some sense of your peace inside. And if you need any help with that, as I said at the beginning, I have some holiday specials with my readings and my regular readings. And if you would like some help with that, you can reach me at river-rain.com or message me here at this video, wherever you've seen it, and I'll see you. All right. I wish you a wonderful week. Rest, hang tight with the eclipse, And we have a happier conjunction of energies. And I'll be back for the solstice with another video for you. All right, take care.